If you're a runner, if you sit at a desk all day, or if you in general feel like you have tight hip flexors, you're going to want to watch this video. Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the personal trainer and running coach at Kathletics. Here at Kathletics, we're all about meeting you where you are in your fitness so you can approach hybrid training in a sustainable way. Your hip flexors are the attachment between the top of your thighs and into your core. So they're kind of that in between, and when you feel like they need to be stretched, you're often finding yourself in maybe in this half kneeling position, trying to push your hip forward, get as deep as a stretch as you can, and you're still not really finding any relief. That might be because we need to be strengthening the hip flexors. And again, this is for whether you are somebody who is sitting at a desk most of the days where your hip flexors are in a short position for a long duration, or if you're a runner who tends to feel like they have tight hip flexors, or you're having trouble kind of get that drive through the hip flexors and get those involved into your runs. These are all reasons to strengthen your hip flexors. Now, that doesn't mean that they also don't need to be stretched, but in most cases, we need both of those things happening at once. So we need to be in a stretched position, we need to be strengthening them, we need to be including both of these aspects into your program. Now, how do we do that? Well, your hip flexors are going to be used in various ways. You're using them when you're standing, you're using them when you're walking, you're running, when you are strength training, and they are used as stabilizers. There are many ways that you're already using your hip flexors, but again, if they are causing you any trouble or we feel like we have room to grow, you're definitely going to want to take some time to build up the strength within your hip flexors. Now, some exercises that you might already be doing that involve your hip flexors are going to be things like sit-ups, other core exercises like knee raises, or maybe you're doing a goblet hold with some marches. These are already going to include your hip flexors. Or maybe you're even doing some high knees as part of your warm-up. These are all things that can involve the hip flexors, but again, this is assuming that you're not already doing those things, or maybe we need a little bit more help in that area. So the first exercise we're going to go over, you can use either a band or a cable attachment. If you're using a cable, I do recommend using the ankle loop around your ankle so it is nice and snug. Otherwise, you're going to loop this at the bottom of the rack. I would recommend placing it across the top of the ankle. We're going to be in a stretched position to start. You can hinge slightly forward, so we're getting a full stretch from shoulders all the way back to the ankle. And then we're going to drive the knee up, activating those hip flexors. So we do want to make sure that we're keeping the core stable here so we're not curving the back to start or bending too far forward. We're in a straight line and we're just bringing that knee in and back down. So again, you can use a cable machine for this as well. I would start light and then ease into it as it feels easier. The one thing about the hip flexors is that we're not trying to overload them, so we're using hundreds of pounds. I mean, sure, if you want to, go for it, I suppose. But that's not necessarily the purpose of these smaller muscles that are used as supporting muscles for other exercises like running, for example. If you don't have access to a long band, you can also use a small band and loop it around the bottom of your feet. And then we're going to stand anchoring your foot into the ground. So then when we're raising the knee up, your hip isn't hiking up with it. We're going to keep the hips nice and stable as we pull up with that knee and using the hip flexors to do so. If those are feeling too easy for you, you can always grab a kettlebell, a dumbbell, or another weight of sorts that you can set on the ground. We're going to extend out both legs and you're going to stay upright, so shoulders stay right over the hips. We're going to lift the leg over the kettlebell and bring it back. Now, if this is feeling too difficult, you can place your hands behind you for some support, or you can also roll up, say like a mat or a towel underneath your rear, so then you're a little bit more elevated and then you can still bring it over the kettlebell or whatever weight that you chose. Lastly, another fun way, well, I find it fun anyway, that you can get your hip flexors more involved is by doing some L-sit pops. So again, you're going to be in that L position. Shoulders stay right over your hips. You're going to press your hands into the ground right next to your thighs, and you're going to lift and then bring them back down. Lift and back down. So again, that's going to involve your hip flexors, your core, and you're going to feel a little bit of your quads, especially in that exercise. And again, it's just tying it all together. So these are just a few ways that you can work on strengthening your hip flexors while you're also focusing on stretching them in your post-workout cool down. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and then we'll see you in the next one.